Welcome back, guys. Thank you guys for coming back to the channel. Hope you guys are excited for another episode of SITREP. Before I start that, though, I want to say thank you to everybody who supported the first video, everybody who sent me messages on YouTube or Discord or liked the video. I really appreciate all the support that you guys gave to it. It made me really happy to see all the support that I got because I wasn't expecting that much. I was expecting like a few views, like 5 maybe max, maybe 10 if I got lucky. But right now, last time I checked, it was at 35. So I'm really excited for that. I'm really happy to continue this series and see that a lot of people are enjoying it. So without further ado, we'll actually start off into this next video. And we're going to be looking at a very well-known guy. He's very famous. His name is Cybernetic. A lot of people have definitely have heard of him, but if you haven't, he's a moderator on the Discord channel. He's also a streamer for the game Cards. And he sent me this VOD from his stream, which I was watching, because there was a pretty intense game, to say the least, in the middle of his stream. That the moment it ended, we both typed to each other, "I'm gonna you need to do this for the video, Rosado. You need to do it." And I was like, "Don't worry, I'm definitely doing it." Because it's a very tense game and it's very energetic. So he played his Japan deck for this stream, which has Soviets as his ally. And it's kind of a pseudo burn deck. It's not like a hardcore burn deck that you would do with like Germany normally, because that's what I usually see when people are making burn decks, because they're very easy to make. I'm not a big fan of burn decks personally, even though Japan is my most played in the Officers Club, which is very hypocritical, but we're not going to talk about that. But it's like a pseudo burn deck. He's got a lot of orders that can deal direct damage to the HQ, like Tora, which helps. That was not straight. Bombing Raid, which really helps. Kotobushita helps also. The Kai 43 does deal damage to the enemy HQ directly. And there's a couple other things like the first Signal Regiment, which I'll go into further. But he has a lot of burn potential, but not like a ridiculous amount in the very early, like you would do with Japan, Germany, and those sort of decks. So he kind of wants to end the game around mid, which is around 6 or 7 credits, because that's usually where he ended the game if he was winning, or where he started to lose control of it if he was kind of neutral with the other player. So it kind of gets worded as mid-range because he wants to end it around that middle of the game. So to kind of go over different cards from the ones that I did go over already, things that are going to help him are the 33rd Recon Regiment, because whenever you get dealt damage to that card, you draw a card. So it really works well with stuff like Bloody Sickle, because Bloody Sickle also draws a card, and you could actually Bloody Sickle your own 33rd Recon. So therefore, you actually pull 2 cards for the price of 1 card actually being played. And it puts a lot of value and a lot of card draw power out of it. And it's really something that can really get you out of a sticky situation if you really need a lot more options. Deadly Duty is also going to help him with that card draw power, because he could also use it on things like Kai 43 to secure that damage that you definitely need on the HQ, and also draw 2 cards from it. The order cards that I already went over, they have a really good synergy over with this one card, Siran. Siran is also known as Dyna. Dyna was just renamed to Siran in this last patch. It does the same thing. It's a 1/4 bomber that gives all orders +1 attack. So the bombing raid normally deals 3 damage to the target and then 2 to adjacent targets. It will now deal 4 to the target and then 3 to adjacent targets. Tora normally does 1, but now deal 2. Kotobushita normally does 2 damage to all enemy targets, but now it'll deal 3. And this is all based off the buff from Siran when Siran is on the board. So it's a really strong card that can really get a lot of potential damage on the board for a lot of units. And it could really make it scary, especially if it stays on the board for a while and you start pulling these order cards that can clear the board. The first signal regiment, I believe I went over that, but just in case if I didn't, it really helps with the burn aspect of this deck because anytime of your units die, the signal regiment will deal 1 damage to the HQ, and he doesn't have a lot of huge health units. If I'm looking at the board correctly, I think the highest one has 4 health, which is the 35th regiment, all the way at the bottom here. So most of them are gonna die. So the fact that he's using that to his favor is really gonna help him push the envelope, forcing him to not really clear the board as much, because he's not gonna realize that he's basically hitting himself in the face. He's essentially just slapping himself, silly, without really doing anything to Cyber. Um, and the Takasaki Regiment is really a strong card in any Japanese deck, really. And it's really the only one that I kind of want to mention last that really helps. The Takasaki Regiment, it's a 3/6 guard, and whenever it's destroyed, it discards a random card from the enemy's hand. So it has a lot of power behind it, and it has a lot of value that it can really do because it can protect things. It can tank for a turn if you really need it to. And it can get rid of a card when it's destroyed. So you could even use Deadly Duty on your Takasaki regiment to kind of put it in your favor if the person only has 1 card left. So now that we've gone over most of these, I'll explain them more in depth when we look at the video and he does go into a pretty tense situation, because this game was fun to watch. It was really fun to watch. And I had a great time watching it, both in the actual stream and after, because I did want to look at it again so I could pick up on things that I might have missed. And you'll notice throughout the game that it's very tense towards like the end. They're both basically stalling. They're both going at each other with very smart moves, and moves that really can't make the other person develop the board more. And it's a very interesting back and forth that they're both trying to do. So Cyber's going to be playing against Vibator. Vibator is pretty well known, at least to my mind. I don't know if he streams or not, but he's number 1 in the Officers Club. So yes, he is all the way at the top. He's the big boy. He's quote unquote Illuminati, if you want to call him that. That was a stupid joke. So he knows what he's doing. He knows how to win the game. He knows what he can do. He knows what he can use to really push the envelope. When Cyber might present a situation that's unfavorable to him. So Cyber's got his work cut out for him. So he's gonna have to really focus and really kind of put the needle on the board. Actually, in the stream, he was screaming esports, because this is a high level match, which was pretty funny. So he's gonna play Zukov into the 1/8 guard, and then Cyber's gonna respond with the 33rd, which is fine because he wants to be able to get the card draw power out of that card, and be able to have more options available to him to kind of either get rid of the guard itself or to really get rid of most of the cards on the board that he puts. So Vibrator's gonna Rising Sun to get 2 cards, and then he's gonna Deadly Duty. Usually when I see something of this type of usage of draw cards, especially this early, it usually tells me that the person literally has nothing in their hand, in terms of units. They might have orders that might cost 3 or 2 or something like that, but they definitely don't have any type of unit that they can really make effective on the board right now. And that usually you should really take that into your favor, because that means that you could be more aggressive with your units. You can use your units to possibly take out a very heavy unit in that one turn because they have nothing else to play, possibly the next turn. And it doesn't necessarily mean they don't have it. They don't have it. It just infers that they don't have it. So you kind of have to pick the difference between reality and assumption. So he's going to put the Claude down so he can move up the 33rd for free, because the Claude gives -1 operation cost to a friendly infantry or friendly unit of your choice. And Vibator is going to put down his own 33rd and then Bloody Sickle it twice. And he pulls 4 cards out of something that basically cost him for free, because he still has 2 credits if he has a 2 credit costing unit in his hand right now that he could play. So he pulled a lot of options possibly that can really put the next turn in his favor, from that type of combo. And Bloody Sickle really just works well with 33rd, and it could really put the other person in a very tight spot in terms of options. So he's gonna put down his own Katusha, and he's gonna not kill the Claude. Sorry, he's gonna damage the Claude to a 2/1, and Cyber is gonna actually attack with his 33rd. And the reason why he did this is because he doesn't really have any options to get much value. He could use Kota Bushida. Like I said, Kota Bushida deals 2 damage to every unit, but he wouldn't kill the guard. He would waste it on 2 cards that really cost nothing. And he could even air superiority, but he's only gonna take out 1 card. So he doesn't really have a lot of value out of these cards right now, and he can't even destroy the other 2 cards, because he has the guard on it. So he's gonna pull a card to see if he can get something to at least do something that would put it more in his favor, rather than just start hitting things for the sake of hitting things. So he's gonna pull a Bloody Sickle, which is lucky, because if he pulled anything else, he probably would have lost the Claude, because he actually does use it on the Katusha. And he's gonna play Signal Regiment, and then Deadly Duty the Claude, so that this way he deals 1 damage to the face. But the main reason is so that this way he can draw 2 cards. The 1 damage is more of as a, I guess you could say, gravy on the fact of this move. But his main aspect of doing this is really to get the cards, because he's starting to run out of options of what he could possibly do. And since he did kill the Claude, another unit that he did have in this deck was the 35th Rifle. What that does is that whenever a friendly unit is destroyed that turn, the operation cost to play it goes down to 0. So you essentially get it for free. So he was able to replace the Claude that he did lose, or that he did destroy purposefully, with 35th Rifle, which is a nice kind of switcheroo that you can do if you're trying to make sure that you still have a decent amount of board presence. So Vibrator is going to play 33rd, and you've noticed that he's kind of slowing down in this next turn. He's got 7 cards in his hands, and he's not really playing anything like super fast. Like if he had a lot of units, he'd be placing them down. He would be able to make the decisions that he needs to do, and he's not really doing that right now. If a person has units, they're usually going to place them down pretty quickly, because they've been pre-planning what they want to do if a certain way goes and develops on the board. But he's not really doing that. So that leads me to believe either A, he has higher costing units, which is a valid assumption to make at this point because it's only 4 credits in, or he has buff cards of some sort, because he would have, if he had damage dealing cards like from the people, he would have used it by now on the front line 33rd to take the front line next turn. So he would have used it by now. And you can't really get any other information from that, because he could have other cards that he could have used, but he would have played it by now if he wanted to do something about it. So we're kind of making assumptions at this point, and you can make those assumptions when he's playing in a weird way, especially when you keep seeing him scrape for cards. He's constantly scraping for cards, trying to get something out of the 33rd and the Bloody Sickle combo. If he keeps doing that, that means he probably has nothing, or he has something that he just can't play, in terms of either cost or it's a buff card. So he's going to play a Kai 27, which is okay. Doesn't really do anything to us at that moment. So he's actually going to get rid of the Kai 27 with his air superiority. He's going to do other things, but I just want to explain this one move. I think it's perfectly okay, because like I say, it doesn't have a huge amount of high health units. So the Kai 27 probably would have been able to take out maybe 1 or 2. Probably not in his current hand, but he might have drawn something and it probably could have took that out. So it's decent just to get rid of that, because you also don't want to deal damage to any of the 33rd regiments to make Vibrator pull a card and give him more options to use possibly. So he's going to place down the Claude, and he's going to move up the 35th regiment for free, which is perfectly fine. For everybody likes free stuff. He's gonna pull a card with a 33rd, so he's still getting that pull, that card draw value out of the 33rd. And just because they're not hitting you doesn't mean you can't hit them. You just have to use it in the correct way. So right now he keeps hitting the one unit that deals one damage instead of hitting face because he wants to be able to get draw cards out of it instead of just losing it outright. So this is where it gets pretty hairy, and this is where Cyber pretty much had a very obvious face about like, whoa, I didn't expect that. So he plays Katusha and he plays Naval Supply Run, and I wasn't really expecting this. I mean, I kind of was, but at the time I really wasn't, because I thought he was playing like control. Maybe he was not having the right pulls that he needed. I don't know. My thought process at the time was just not really smart. But now that he did this, I was like, okay, he's not really playing control. He's just trying to at least get the board and buff up his units. He probably has lower health units, but he's probably waiting for a moment where he can buff them all up and not lose them all at once. So he's going to play Katusha with Naval Supply Run and take out the Claude, which is perfectly fine. So he's kind of in the situation where he's starting to lose control of the board. He's not really lost it just yet, but probably next turn he's going to start losing it, because that Katusha could possibly one-shot the 35th rifle with its passive effect of dealing an additional damage. So right now Cyber is trying to think on what he could possibly do. So he's going to suicide into the guard, which is honestly the best move in my opinion, because he has nothing really else that can really clear the board in this one turn. So he's got to be careful in what he could possibly do. So he's going to try and see if he could pull a card. And he's going to put down the Kai 27, so this way he can use air superiority on the Katusha. And that's perfectly fine, because let me just pause it. So if he left the Katusha alive, he could have one-shotted the frontline unit and kept all the other healthy units in the support line moved up. And then he could have killed the Kai 27. He would have left out a lot of options if he didn't kill the Katusha, and he would have possibly lost a lot of cards because of it. So you have to kind of be careful on what you want to use for your order cards. Remember, value is everything. And the fact that there's a 3-2 Katusha out with the possibility of doing 4 damage, I'm definitely willing to use an air superiority on that. So he's going to destroy the Katusha, and he's going to have to go through the 3-4 in terms of Vibrator. Vibrator's going to have to go through the 3-4 if he wants to take that front line. But he's going to have to waste 2 cards hitting it to do that, which is fine in terms of Cyber's point of view, because that gives him time to stall and to not be able to take face damage from his heavy hitting infantry that he has now. So he's going to be able to have some breathing room from that front line. And the Vibrator is actually going to put down a Type 93, which is the 1-1 tank that gives all other friendly units +1 attack. So he is actually able to now one-shot the 35th with the guard unit. And now he's able to move up his even more buffed 33rd recons to the front line. So now Cyber's in even a worse spot, because not only does he have to deal with the fact that these are hard-hitting units and they'll probably kill every single unit except for the Takasaki regiment, he's also going to be giving Vibrator cards at the same time, which is even worse. And it just gets into an even worse situation where he is now on his back heel. He's going to have to start playing defensive than offensive. And this next turn is where I think he starts to make his first mistake. Not that it was a mistake necessarily, I just wouldn't have done the order of what he did, because it was a bit risky on what he was doing. So to kind of spoil what he's going to do, he's going to play Last Rites. Now he can clear the board in this turn, and to make it very subtle without explaining like a whole lot and making this very drawn out, the way he could clear the board is Kota Bushida, the Signal Regiment, that deals 2 damage to all the other units, which takes out this. And this would have been left at 1, this would have been left at 1, this would have been left at 1. So since he also has Tora Tora, I would have done Tora Tora next, which would have killed these two, and this would have activated the destruction. And then this, I would have used to kill the Ishka. That would have essentially rendered both players with no cards whatsoever. And everyone would basically have to start from scratch. And I'm perfectly okay with that. Because if he waits a turn, and especially in this instance where he played last rites, since he's waiting a turn, he's opening himself up to the possibility of getting buffed up more. He just played a naval supply run. He's bound to have more buff cards in there of different varieties. So he probably won't lose the next turn, even if he had a bunch of buff cards, but it's a possibility. But the main point to take away from this is to realize when you're going to take a huge amounts of damage and when you need to react accordingly, because he didn't react accordingly, and he was able to survive with only 5 damage after this turn. But if he wasn't careful enough, he probably would have lost either that turn if he had more buff cards, or the next turn if he had some other card to deal with the 5 extra damage. So you got to be careful when you want to clear the board or something like that. So I think Last Rites really wasn't the best move in this personal instance. And you'll see why next turn, because it's going to kind of come into light. So he's going to play Last Rites, and his thought process right now is, well, I have nothing else in my current hand. Let me pull 2 cards. So he's going to pull 2 cards and save some of his credits so he can put something down if he does need to. Like the Kai 43, it's going to give him something that he can actually use, which is a perfectly fine in the move that he did, because like I said, I would have done the removal aspect of this move. So he's going to play Kamikaze. He's going to get rid of the Type 93 to lower the values of attack on all the units, which is pretty good. And then he's going to put a Kai 43 down, which honestly, with him using Last Rites, I think is his best move. It's his best option. He's got really nothing else to protect himself, because he doesn't have enough credits for the Takasaki regiment. So it's his only move to kind of put this unit down and to be able to possibly do something about the other units. And this is where I meant it's going to come into light. He just played for the Emperor, which is going to give +1 attack and less operation cost for all his units until the end of the turn. So he's going to take 13 damage from this one move. And if Vibrator either got super lucky and had another buff card, or if he had can't think of it, Tora Tora or something that basically would help him lower it even further to essentially he killed Cyber, he would have won the game. And that's a risk that you really don't want to take, because even if he didn't buff it with For the Emperor, that's still a lot of damage that you would have took, which is 10 damage. That's still a ton of damage that you would have been able to get rid of entirely. So you kind of have to make sure you really know when you should use a lot of your clearing to really clear the board, because you already would have had enough value out of this. So you got to be really careful when to decide to hold it and when to actually use it. So he's going to move his guard up to the front line to protect his healthy units. He's going to put more cards to the front, so that this way he's essentially forcing Cyber to say, like, okay, I have all these units. Now you need to clear all of them if you want to win the game. Because right now he can only clear 1 with the Kai 43. That's at least on the board. And he has nothing else in his hand that could clear the board besides the Kota Bushida and the Tora Tora. So Vibrator's essentially saying, like, all right, now you need to come to me if you want to win the game. And that's actually what Cyber's gonna do. He's actually gonna kill the Chaika with the Kai 43, so that this way the Ishka comes out, and then he's actually gonna Kota Bushida literally everything. And like, just look if, oh my god, the fact that did so much value out of that is mind-boggling. He killed 4 cards for essentially 5 if you're counting the Chaika. That is so much freaking value. It's literally mind-boggling. And I might be sounding a bit stupid with that, but nothing is more satisfying in this game than when you clear so many cards with one card. It's the most satisfying thing ever. And this is when the game basically kicks into overdrive because he also tore Torres to kill the last 3 units. And this is basically Cyber putting his foot down and being like, all right, you want to play this way? I'm going to play this way. And Cyber actually, he puts a little smile when I was watching this. He's like, yeah, you know what? Let's do this. So Cyber puts his big boy pants on, and the game basically kicks into overdrive. And now both players are at the point where they basically have to sit back and be like, okay, what is not going to lose me the game? Because they could both end each other possibly in the next turn from the cards that they've been playing. So Vibrator's trying to figure out what is not going to lose me the game and then what is going to win me the game. So he's going to have to decide very easily. So Vibrator is actually going to play the, I believe it's called the Zero. I don't remember. But he's going to play that where it deals 1 damage on deployment to any enemy of your choice. And he's going to kill the Signaling Regiment. Now, his thought process, or at least the situation that presented it, was that he's such low health that he doesn't want to risk the Signal Regiment just ticking him. So he wants to get rid of that rather than just do 1 damage on the HQ, because he probably wouldn't have been able to kill it next turn. So he'd rather try to make sure he stays alive a lot longer than he could probably kill it faster, or destroy Cyber's HQ faster. It's probably a better way to say it. So Cyber's in a tough spot. He could lose next turn, and he's trying to figure out what he can do. He just pulled Bombing Raid, which is a very good card in this situation. It could really help him. So he's going to play Takasaki Regiment to help him protect his HQ, and then he's going to play Kai 43. Now, this is very important. Why I'm emphasizing Kai 43 is because Kai 43 is going to win him the next turn. He's going to deal 3 damage to the HQ, and then he's going to Bombing Raid. He wins. That's it. That's all he's got to do. That's all he has to do. And then right now, it's really ridiculous how much tension there was in this game, because like he's breathing, he's talking to us, he's trying to figure out. Oh wow, he's trying to figure out what he could possibly do, and Vibrator basically runs into desperation mode, and he has to move it up to try and get more cards out of it. So unfortunately, Vibrator does get a freaking Takasaki Regiment, the same card that Cyber has on the field. And now he's in this tough situation where he has to replan what he wants to do. So in this situation, I would just step back and see what my options are. I have 2 Kai 43s, at least in my general vicinity. There's 1 in my hand and there's 1 on the board. I would have suicided the Kai 43 that's on the board into really anything. Doesn't matter, because it's going to die either way. And then I would have put the other Kai 43 out, suicided that, and then Bombing Raided on that same turn. So you'd have to wait 2 turns. That's the only way that, from at least this point of view, I can win. So it's getting very tense. We have to see what he does. And guess what happens? Oh wait, it hasn't happened yet. You'll see. He gets super lucky. Spoiled a little bit. He gets super lucky, and he actually pulls a Tora. Now, when I explain this, it's going to really matter about what I said earlier. You want to be careful, because earlier in the match, he played the Signal Regiment and destroyed the Claude. I might have mentioned it, but you want to be careful with the order of how you put cards down, because if he didn't put it in the right order and he didn't get that 1 ticket damage, he wouldn't have ended the game right now. He would have had to still do 1 damage, which would have probably lost him the game. Possibly. I don't know for sure. But that 1 damage did help him secure the game, because now you're going to see him. He actually gets excited. He makes like a very odd face that was just amazing to watch and see him do. He's going to deal 3 damage to the HQ. He's going to deal another damage with Tora, and then he's actually going to get the destruction effect off of the Kai 43 to actually win the game. He gives a little thumbs up. Super happy, man. I haven't seen him smile like that. It's awesome. And that was just such an amazing game. awesome game, Cyber. So glad that you won. Uh, Probably the most tense game that I've ever seen you play, honestly. I'm pretty sure you've been intenser, but yeah. So you want to make sure that the the main gist, I guess you could say, what you want to pull um from this game is that you want to make sure you play to your strengths. He had the fact that he had the in the beginning a very strong front line with just the 33rd. He's playing towards his strength. He's trying to develop the board with more cards because he knows he can't go through it without really benefiting Cyber's aspect with the 33rd Recon Regiment. You want to be able to use your cards in the best way possible, to make sure that you actually have yourself, I guess, in your favor. So, for example, like the time where I said that he shouldn't have used last rites, he should have just cleared the board. He probably would have survived a lot with a huge amount of health if he did that a lot earlier, because when he would have got a lot of value out of it, he would have cleared the whole board. All the units that were buffed would have been destroyed. So you really have to pay attention to what you can, to when you should remove, and when you need to start actually like developing the board for yourself, and what you can use those for. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know I did. It was awesome to do this video for Cyber. I really look up to him. He's an awesome guy. I really wish I could do more videos on his games. If you guys did like this video, please like the video, comment, share it on the Discord channel, subscribe if you want. Any support is really appreciated. Just to make a quick announcement, I'm going to be finishing school this semester because I am in college. So I'm going to be finishing soon. So I should have the whole summer to stream, which is going to make me way more open and way more available to do the stream. Recently, I haven't been able to do it because I have a lot of schoolwork. I'm getting a new job somewhere else from where I currently work, so I have been doing a lot of busy work and stuff like that. So I will be more available in the summer to stream and definitely make more videos if possibly. Two other side notes. One, for this series, I really want to take replays from the community. Not to say that Cyber is in the community, but like from the smaller people, like maybe someone who just started out new, or maybe someone who's trying to climb into the officers club, or maybe someone who's stuck at a certain rank because they can't get farther in that one country. Anything that you guys need help on, I'm really want to take a look at your matches and build off of those. So my email is going to be in the description, along with Cybernetics Twitch stream. Please go check that out and follow him. He's got an awesome stream. But I'm gonna put my email in the bottom, so this way you guys can send me replays and videos. So this way I can look at them and show off your gameplay, whether it be bad or good. I want to be able to show what's right to do and what's wrong to do, because everyone can learn something. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really hope you guys come back for the next one, and I can't wait to see what I get for the next one if you guys do send stuff in. And I hope you guys have a nice day. Bye.